All rise. Superior Court of Richmond County is now in session. All those having business, lend their attention to attendance. May God save the state and ensemble court. I'm J. Wade Paget, Judge presiding.
Thank you, Coach. Y'all can be seated. All right. Today we have a session of arraignments, and the court wants to welcome some folks from the Tomb Circuit here. Thank y'all very much, Sheriff and Judge, for being here. We are going to conduct arraignments at several different facilities involving the Georgia Department of Corrections. These are felony cases that are pending in the Augusta Judicial Circuit. We're going to be conducting these arraignments via video conference as allowed by Rule 9.2 of the Uniform Rules of Superior Court. The defendants on today's calendar are presently in the custody of the DOC. Each defendant has the right to have the charges read to them in their entirety. However, we are going to be providing a copy of the indictment to each defendant so they will have the ability to consider the document at their leisure. Unless there is a request by a defendant to have the indictment read to them verbatim today, I am going to assume that the defendant is waiving formal arraignment. Additionally, we have provided each defendant an arraignment form. They are going to be signed electronically, and they will be returned to this court via electronic means. Then that document will be filed with each respective clerk of court. The only option on the plea form is to plead not guilty. That way, no defendant can accidentally or mistakenly waive any of their rights during this hearing. On this side of the room are public defenders. On this side of the room are prosecutors. The courtroom is open to the public, any other attorneys or anybody else that may have an interest in any of these cases. We are in courtroom 2C of the Richmond County Courthouse. These hearings are being recorded and are also being taken down by a court reporter. Mr. Mackey, on behalf of the public defender, were y'all able to make announcement to all the defendants before arraignment today?
No, Your Honor, we have not. I don't believe any of the defendants have been brought out yet.
Okay. All right. Hey.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing well, sir.
Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, I guess, with each defendant separately, since we didn't do that ahead of time like we normally do, and take care of that. The first case that I'm going to call is a State versus Caleb Merritt. I believe he is at the Georgia Diagnostic Facility. Is that correct? Is that what y'all have? All right, so who's here from Georgia Diagnostic?
Diagnostic classification present here. We're getting Mr. Merritt out now.
Thank you so much. As you'll see, the screen flips to whoever's talking. Mr. Merritt, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Can you see and hear okay?
Yes, sir.
My name is Wade Paget, and we are going to conduct a arraignment in your case. This is the case of the state of Georgia versus Caleb Merritt. This is case number 2019 RCCR 813, Superior Court of Richmond County. Mr. Mackey, on behalf of the Public Defender's Office, do you have information on who is representing this defendant?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Merritt is represented by Jennifer Cross.
Is that with your office?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Merritt, in Georgia, you have the right to represent yourself, to retain a lawyer to represent you, or if you qualify, to have an attorney appointed to represent you. At this time, it's my understanding that you are represented by a member of the Public Defender's Office here in the Augusta Circuit. Mr. Mackey works with your lawyer, and so all of the paperwork that is being exchanged, I don't know if you saw that actually happen just a moment ago on camera, but all that's being exchanged between the prosecutor on this side and the defense lawyer on this side, all that will be forwarded to your lawyer on your behalf here in Augusta.
Yes, sir.
So tell me your full name, and that's all the real information I'm going to get from you today.
Caleb Bailey Merritt.
Sir, in front of you, you should have a document that is sometimes we call it an arraignment form. It looks like it has a signature line. That's been loaded into an electronic format. And so when you sign it, as you can see on the paper document that's been printed, it's the only option available to you is to plead not guilty. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
That way you preserve all of your rights. if you would, I think they have a form or a document there for you to sign. I need you to affix your signature to the not guilty plea that'll be entered here. Okay, they will basically email that back to us. We'll file it with the clerk of court. You have a copy of your indictment, correct?
Yes, sir.
Good enough. Sir, thank you very much for participating in this hearing by video. You can go back and we'll switch out to the next inmate, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do you have Marcus Gifford with you?
Yes, sir, I do.
Can you put him on, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. The very first facility we began doing this with was ASMP. And so we have spent a lot of time looking at each other at computers and trying to make them come on and work and do what they need to do. Good afternoon, sir. Can you tell me your name?
Marcus Gifford.
Mr. Gifford, my name is Wade Padgett. I am a Superior Court judge here in Augusta. You have some charges still pending in Augusta, namely 2019 RCCR 986. There are 19 charges, it appears. The first one's aggravated assault on a police officer, and it kind of goes from there. I don't want to talk at all today about the facts of your case, what happened, who did what to who, or anything like that. Today is just an arraignment in which I'm only going to allow you to enter a plea of not guilty to the charges. That way you protect all of your rights. Mr. Mackey, on behalf of the Public Defender's Office, do you have any information about who might represent Mr. Gifford?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Gifford is represented by Benjamin Stewart with our office.
Okay. So the prosecutor's handing a copy of your indictment to the public defender. This is obviously not Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stewart works with Mr. Mackey, or Mr. Mackey, who's here, works with Mr. Stewart. He'll get a copy of that to him. The state will then provide the discovery in your case to the public defender, and then your public defender can contact you about your case and talk about the strengths and weaknesses and whatever you may want to do with your case. Today is just an arraignment, and like I said earlier, I'm only going to allow you to plead not guilty. And just
I don't wish to plead not guilty. I don't want to be. I want to challenge the subject matter jurisdiction.
Okay. Well, I'm going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. I'll show that you don't want to participate in the process, and a not guilty plea will be entered on your behalf. Thank you very much, sir. You can go back with the officials.